All right, so we're back. We're going to continue where we left off last time after the initial configuration of the Sophos Firewall. Today we're going to get some network set up. As you can see, I have a few subnets on the side here. So we're going to do our kind of servers, devices, management type network. We're going to do an access endpoint VLAN network and then a voice VLAN. I can't really simulate or emulate any VoIP devices, but just throw it in there and kind of show you how it's going. So before we get into the Sophos, we'll add in a couple nodes here. I'm not probably going to get through everything today, so we'll continue on, in following videos. We've kind of labeled this as our little SMB infrastructure build out, and we'll just go that route. We need a managed switch, so I'm going to just use an Aruba, HP. Aruba, same company, a little bit different operating systems. The Aruba OS CX, very similar to Cisco. Then I'm also going to add in Windows 10 box, and that will be our kind of Workstation 1. Let's see here, I should have a little bit of a nicer image that we can use. What I had. Something a little fancier. We'll go with this nice little desktop for. I'm going to give it a bit more beef as well. And then we're going to add in a server. So what I would like to do is get to the point where we're actually, going to set up Active Directory, and maybe we'll do a little bit of NIC teaming. So I'll add an extra Ethernet port on there. We'll do DHCP server out of there as well. And yeah, we'll go that route. So let's head on over to our Sophos and we'll start there. In the last video, we went through the initial configuration and just kind of some little bit security best practices, things to enable, admin timeout, and brute force protection. Made sure nothing was open on the WAN side. So that's where we've kind of left off. So let's go ahead and we'll start over by creating our zones, and then we can create our separate networks and assign our ports and do all that kind of stuff. So a zone is basically just that. It's kind of like a default area that you can put your networks in, assign specific device access, and what your members, which ports are in which. These are the 5 that come out of the box. VPN you can't touch. Wi-Fi you can edit. You can edit your DMZ. You can edit your VPN or your WAN and your LAN. So let's go ahead and add a zone. I'm going to call this our server. Actually, we're going to call this one headquarters LAN. And we're going to give this one basically full access because this is the network we'll use for our kind of, our VLANs will be based underneath this. Oh, actually, no, never mind. Sorry, I am getting ahead of myself. Let's go back and we'll change this to server underscore devices. We will still give this majority of these. And then let's go save. And these are all just the device access that I showed you last video under administration. These are just different areas that allow into that zone. So then we're going to add our access zone. This one we're going to allow captive portal, single sign-on. We're going to allow all that just in case we want to do some, as well as user portal access, because we may deal with VPNs in a later videos. But this is going to allow us to do like user level firewall rules if we want them to go to a portal before they access a website. Once we integrate Active Directory with the firewall to pull users and groups, we can set up single sign-on if we want to use Radius servers. Chromebook, I guess we don't need, so we won't be any Chromebooks in this network. And then we'll do our voice zone just because we can. This one we're only giving DNS and ping because that's really all you need on a voice network. You don't even really need ping, but it's good for troubleshooting. All right, so now we've got our 3 new zones with our specified device access. It is a LAN type. The type honestly doesn't matter. It's more for later on down the line when you're getting things set up. So for our port F, we're going to put this in our servers and devices because this is going to be kind of our main network zone. So this one we're going to use that 10.10.10.1 right here. And that's going to be our default kind of VLAN, native VLAN 1. I'm not going to put any VLAN tags on this network. We're going to call it HQ LAN as the port name. It's going to be in that server and devices zone. So this will be our default network, and this is what's going to go to our server and maybe subsequent servers, or the switch, is going to be native to that network. So then we're going to now add a VLAN. And we're going to call this one access. This is going to go into our HQ LAN interface, and we're going to assign it to the access zone. We're going to give it a VLAN ID of 20 to kind of follow along here with our subnet. And then this will be 10.10.20.1 for the default gateway. So this is done. We'll create our last VLAN, which will be voice. In these small to medium-sized businesses, you're really not going to have too many more VLANs than this, unless, I always say you should have one for backup. If you're going to have backup, some kind of on-prem backup server, make sure you have that segregated and in its own zone and in its own subnet, not visible from a workstation. You're not backing up workstations 90% of the time. You're backing up the server. So why does the backup need to be in all this exact same area, even if you had it in your servers and devices? But again, your backups are very important. You don't want those to get compromised because you have some flat network and you're leaving it wide open. Okay, so we've created our zones. We've created our interface and our VLANs underneath that main interface. From here, we can go ahead and go to our rules and policies and start building out a couple default firewall rules. So these are just going to be straight out to the internet. So let's just go HQ LAN _2_WAN. I mean, you can put whatever you want here. So this will be, it's nice to put a description and as descriptive of a name as possible. We're going to log it. We're going to put the rule at the top for now. Rule groups, it'll automatically add it if you have some kind of criteria. We don't have any groups, so it's not going to add that. I can show you that at another time. So this is going to be our source zone, is going to be servers and devices. You could leave it at any, so that means anything under this zone will be allowed out, but I prefer to be a little granular. So you have quite a list. I mean, a lot of these are more geared towards WAN side. These are wildcards and domain, top level domains, and you can select by the port, and that will give you that interface, but it's only going to give you that one IP address. So what we're going to do is create new, and we're going to create a network. We're going to call this servers _devices servers. We'll just keep it simple, servers _net _. I like to put the network in here just so I can see it right from the rule line. Network 10.10.10.0 with a subnet of /24. And then we're going to go out to our WAN zone. So destination, again, if you wanted to, for instance, maybe have a specific server in here, only talk to a specific IP address or domain name, you can do all that if required. We're going to leave everything open for now just to keep it simple. And then, yeah, I mean, there's policies we can put on. I usually like to do at least that. Web policy, stuff like that will apply on the access zone and the access network. To app control, IPS. Some of this stuff isn't that easy to emulate either. We'll just do a LAN to WAN general, which I can show you those IPS and rules a little bit later, the default templates it comes with. So then let's do another one for our access zone. Access to WAN log, so we'll go workstation / access network to WAN subnet 10.10.10.20.0/24. We'll put this one right at the top above the last one we made. We're going to select our access zone. We're going to do the same and create a network just for this. This will be access _net_. Select the type for a network. As you can see, you can do a range of IPs. You can do a list and just, put in, you want .20, .30, .40 to allow out. For now, we're going to do the whole network. We're going to get into some more granular rules later on down the line. So for this, we can do our scan. We can do, let's just do maybe a default workplace policy. Again, you can give you a quick brief. So this denies access categories most commonly unwanted in professional environments. So you can we'll go down to the user. Once we've got Active Directory synced in, we can show you get a little more granular on the rules. Say you don't want, Donald Trump accessing some weapon website. You can block that from. Sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. You can do search engine enforcement, but these only work with the web proxy. Right now we're using the DPI engine, which is new in version 18. You can always head over to Sophos' website to get some more information on those kind of things. I'm not going to go into that much detail. So yeah, just be aware that these things only work in certain scenarios where you can restrict this kind of stuff. There's other ways to block YouTube. I can show you that later. Again, once we maybe do a separate video just on that. For now, we're just going to get our network deployed and we'll set some basics. So we're going to do that. Allow web category based traffic shaping. We're not going to bother with that because we're not doing any traffic shaping. So this we can do block generally unwanted apps. Same thing. There's a nice little default template. Blocks peer-to-peer. All these different apps are blocked. BlueStacks, Cloud Connect, SongPop, big games, MP3 file downloads, any proxies, tunnels, transfers of files. So yeah, it's pretty good. This is all just straight out of the box. You can come in and add exceptions and you can tweak, you can create your own. I personally recommend cloning one of these and then going through it and setting it up. DSCP markings, this is for like traffic classification, something I've never used, but it's here nonetheless. Traffic shaping, that's nice when you want to limit maybe a guest network to only maybe have a 5 megabit down, 1 megabit up, just to not kill your network. Same thing, we'll do a LAN to WAN general. Oh, we did not select the destination zone. Look at that, Getting ahead of myself. And let's save this. And as you can see, these firewalls are pretty damn hefty. I shouldn't say hefty. Pretty darn good at telling you when you're doing something wrong or missing something. So we'll do our, again, voice network, even though there is no voice emulation being done, but it's just to show what I would normally do if I was doing a new build out at a business. VoIP traffic to WAN subnet 10.10.30.0/24. And this, we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to add our voice zone. We'll also create another network for this, just so we are nice and granular. Voice underscore net underscore 10.30.0/24. Same thing, network, and save that. And then we're going to do to our WAN zone. So I'm going to get down to some service rules, services, and destination networks. Isolating things to specific IPs and specific ports. Once I start doing some of the inter-VLAN traffic rules, which I may or may not get to in this video, I think this is probably about as far as we're going to get. I'd like to keep these videos around the 20-minute mark, just for sake of, number one, my laptop doesn't render these videos very quickly, and yeah, it's just easier for everyone to follow along and be engaged. So for a VoIP rule, we really don't want to put anything on. You don't, unless you're going to start doing traffic shaping and maybe some DSCP markings. It's a good VoIP is a good place to use something like this. But for us, we're just going to leave her blank, and I usually do in production as well. You just want those VoIP things getting straight out to the internet. It's on its own network. I sometimes even like to set a separate DNS for that through the DHCP server. It doesn't need to be involved in anything internally, especially with a basic VoIP provider that's not tied into user accounts or anything like that. One other thing I'll show you is this SIP module, which we've run into a lot of cases where this module is loaded by default. System modules show. So that's this SIP. And these are just different modules that are loaded in to the firewall. Point-to-point tunneling protocol, HTTP23, trivial FTP, internet relay chat, DNS, and then SIP for your voice. So this is something we typically like to ensure is unloaded. So you just go, if I would not capitalize, system modules, SIP, unload. And now if we do our show again, now our SIP module is unloaded and it's not blocking anything. I'd never really delved into it, but it has to do with the ports and the traffic that comes out. It tries to optimize it, but I've found it causes a lot more grief, and we end up with chopped calls, dropped calls, not being able to dial out, not being able to receive calls. I just recommend turning it off unless your VoIP provider recommends otherwise. But good. Okay, we've got our zones, our networks, our VLANs. We've got our default rules out to the network, out to the internet. So let's get our port connected to our switch, and this is port F, and we're just going to go to our first interface on this Aruba. So with these Arubas in this virtual environment, one thing I learned when I was about to make this video the first time is you cannot go over 10 interfaces. This thing has one management interface by default, so we're just going to put it at 9. We shouldn't need more than that, and that'll leave us with 1 for management. I can show you the web interface of this thing if we ever want to go that route, and then we'll have our maybe 2 for our 1 server here to do some NIC teaming, and then for our workstations and whatever else we expand to. So let's get our switch started. We'll get our workstation started. While these things are booting up, we will just get prepped. Yeah, I think we're good on this hide. So we should be able to just pass our stuff over to our switch. This is blank at first on our first boot. Let's just set one. Again, use strong passwords. As you can see, mine isn't very strong. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, these switches are very similar to a Cisco switch. So if you have any CLI experience in a Cisco, very much the same. So first things first, let's add our VLANs. Give it a name. And then we're going to add VLAN 30 for voice. and we're going to throw the voice command at it so that it is a voice VLAN. Now we're going to go over to our interface 1/1/1. For these, be doing in virtual environment, they cannot tell when a link is up, so you have to explicitly no shut these interfaces. As they come out, they're shut down. If they would be able to detect a plug, they would come in. So these are also layer 3 switches, so we need to run the no routing command so that they can pass traffic. Then we're going to do VLAN trunk allowed 1, 20, and 30. So our native, our access, and our voice. So that's that interface. We should be good. We can just do a quick show run on that interface. Sure I'm not missing anything. Yeah, we should be good there. Okay, so let's go to our interface 1/1/8. Same thing, no shut, if I can spell. No routing as well. And then this one, we're going to do a VLAN trunk. We're going to put our native VLAN as 20, so our access VLAN. And then VLAN trunk allowed 20, 30. So now this should, in theory, allow our voice traffic that I've specified up at the beginning for that VLAN. So when you plug in a phone into this port, it will automatically give it VLAN 30, and then the phone will pass out VLAN 20. In the Cisco world, it would be, you would add, switch port access VLAN 20, and then switch port voice VLAN 30, and that would do basically the same thing. The commands are a little bit different in the Aruba switches. So let's check this interface just to make sure we are good to head over to our Windows machine. So yeah, like I said, no shutdown, no routing because it's a layer 2 interface. Our native VLAN is going to be 20, so that's going to be untagged traffic. And then we're allowing 20, and then we're tagging traffic on 30, which is the voice. So let's exit, and let's write to memory, save our configuration. All right, so let's head over to our Windows workstation. Again, super strong password on my devices. Do not do that in production. We're going over here a little bit. I'm going to just get this thing set with a static IP for now, just to show you that we have access to the network and to the internet, and that's where we'll call our day. In the next video, we'll get the Active Directory set up and get the server set up in DHCP and get all that tested. And then we could start, doing our inter-VLAN traffic and getting things down a little deeper. So we're going to add this to our access VLAN. We'll give it 10, 255, 255, 255. And our gateway on this is 10. And we'll just give it a little extra DNS there for help. So if everything's correct, this should get us online. And there we are. And just for proof, we got everything flowing the way we want. We're going to open up Mr. NS Edge. We'll head on over to Google. Yeah, sorry. It's not gigabit speeds. But there we go. Let's look for some trucks. And we got internet, just like that. So, hope you guys enjoyed the video. We'll see you next time.